Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Threesome FPL podcast. We're back. Who knew we'd get a third series? Let's be honest. All our listeners thought we'd gone away because we disappeared over the summer, which was a lovely treat. How are you, gents? Mike, how are you?
Well, hello. It's good to be back. Actually, that is Gary Glitter. So it's lovely to see you. Not a great start. Lovely to see you both, lads. It was the Glitter Band I was referencing, not Gary himself there. Yeah, life is good and excited about the new season, boys. Very much so.
Anthony, how are you?
Well, all the better for seeing you two. I mean, now we are back. It feels like we only did this yesterday. So there you go. It's good to be back. We've had a nice little break, haven't we, all of us? I think we can say that. Had some bit of quality time, enjoying the heat wave with our families. But no, it's good to be back.
Have you done anything exciting over the summer, Ant?
Well, I went to Belgium.
So far.
I went to Belgium, which is very exciting, as was taking 11 hours to get home and fighting our way through the Eurotunnel. But yeah, it was exotic. It was very exotic. But other than that, boys, just the day-to-day, working, seeing you two playing football. What about you boys? Have you done anything exciting? I know there's holidays being banded around.
Well, yeah, Mike?
Yeah, well, a couple of things have happened at my end, guys. Got a robotic Hoover I'm quite excited about.
Very posh.
Vinny the vacuum, we call him. He goes around and does his stuff. So if you hear him starting up in a bit, don't be alarmed. And the other big thing I've got into, guys, is I've got green fingers these days. I have got hanging baskets all over the shop.
What?
It's like a year in Provence here. Yeah, there are hanging baskets everywhere. I've gone mad on it. By golly, I love a begonia. Wow. Yeah, but those. Oh, I tell you what, it's been difficult. It's been difficult, lad, in this sunshine. But yeah, it's been great. Loving life. Bit of weeding. Oh, darn those weeds. Yeah.
God, you are so manly.
It could get messy.
Certainly could get messy. You're absolutely
really
right. Phil, what about you, mate?
Yes. Yeah, been all right. Been popped to Devon on holiday. That was nice during the heatwave week. So that was fun. Nice holiday with the family. Haven't things got expensive?
Oh, haven't they just?
Haven't they? Days out when you got 3 children. That's
Good
fun.
grief.
Oh, yeah.
Days out, petrol, and Jared Bowen. All 3 hugely inflated in price, but more on that to come.
Very, very true. So, for those of you who have never listened to us, watched us, I mean, not many people watch us. Thank you to all 32 subscribers. I mean, genuine thanks if you watch us on YouTube, because we don't edit the videos. It just goes out live. But to you listeners, who the majority of our clientele are listeners, for those who haven't listened before, we are 3 managers with very different playing styles. Mike is a bit gung-ho, would you say, Mike?
Yeah, I think it was 150 transfers last season?
And that was good for you, wasn't it?
I was going to say that was a low number.
I do like to tinker. That is my downfall. But yeah, not a particularly good player, but better than Ant last season.
Well, to be fair, most people were better than me last season, boys. Yeah, I had a bit of a shocker. I'm the complete opposite to Mike, as in I'm really tight when it comes to transfers. I think I probably made less transfers over the whole season last year than Mike made in 1 week, and it didn't suit me too well, did it? Ended up with
very thrifty.
Yeah, I ended up with my second worst score ever, and I've just gone over my history, actually, boys, before we recorded. Looked over my 10-year or so history, and yeah, one of my worst ever scores. So it wasn't my finest hour last season. And Phil, you're kind of in between the two of us, I would suggest. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, you play. So Mike plays for maximum fun, which I am all for.
Absolutely.
So, Mike plays week to week. So if he's got a good squad for week 1, but he sees the fixtures change slightly in week 2, instead of planning for week 1 and week 2, he will plan 1 week at a time. And in week 2, he'll just rip it up, make 5 transfers if he needs to. But that way he has got lots of players playing, potentially scoring goals each week, and maybe getting higher points than us each week before the finances, the transfer fees come off. You get 4 points taken away for every transfer over your allotted one. So Mike plays that way, and I think that's a fun way to play. I have historically, like you say, been in between you. I couldn't play how you play, and I mean it's dead boring.
It is dead boring.
Really boring.
Very.
And last year you were miserable, more so than ever.
Yeah, I mean, you did do a
story.
lovely little compilation, didn't you, of my sarcasm and my misery at the end of last season. And to be fair, what I realised over the weekend is that in a fit of rage last season, I'd uninstalled the FPL app off my phone and hadn't actually reinstalled it. So I did have to do that at the weekend. That's how bad it got for me. I'm very grumpy when I lose, which unfortunately for me against you two boys last season was pretty much for all 38 weeks.
So what would you say is the best way to play? I mean, we've all got our individual playing styles. Does it depend on what your actual goal is? Because I personally don't play to get in the top 10k or the top 100k, which is just as well. I don't try and get in the top 10k. But for me, I just want to beat the people in my mini leagues. That's the most fun, isn't it? Friends and family in our fantasy threesome FPL league. Mike's got the reference; he'll give it later.
Oh, for sure.
For me, that's how I play. Mike, do you even care about anything?
Wow, deep. I'm not sure I've got the time to unpack that one. I do care, and I take great joy in winning a weekend against fellow mini leaguers. But also, as you alluded to earlier, I have great joy in, albeit knowing at the back of my mind it's cost me 26 points, messaging you guys if one of my players comes in and scores and giving you a bit of stick about that. And of course, your retort is, yeah, but you're minus 26, Mike. And that's fine. But until that response comes through, I'm sat there gloating and happy. As ever, I will start the year with very good intentions of being more frugal in terms of my point spend. I've got the first 6 game weeks here printed out in front of me. I've got the fixture rating. So if you're new to the game, you can go on and search the under the fixtures tab at the fantasypremierleague.com website, and there's FDR, which gives you the next 6 weeks. I've printed that off. I've got a bit of a plan in place on just a couple of players, which we'll come to towards the end when we reveal our own individual teams. But I don't like to look too far ahead, but actually I think that's going to be important this season, a season where we have a World Cup in the smack bang in the middle as well.
Okay, so would you say this season? So the World Cup obviously is a big issue. There's an extra wild card this year, so between the World Cup starting and the World Cup ending, I believe you can make as many transfers as you want. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, Mike, you usually play wild card sort of week 1, don't you? Week 1 or 2.
It's week 2. Traditionally, I do play it week. Traditionally, yeah. Thank you. Credit where it's due. I normally wait until you can actually use it because you can't use it week 1, sadly.
Correct.
I do. Yeah. I normally set my team up for week 1, take maximum points there. And sometimes I play my bench boost in that first week as well. Get it all done in that first week. Play for that first game week because then you're set, and then you can rip it up with freedom, and you haven't got a hangover from week 1. And then set myself up for the next few game weeks. But no, this year I know the 1 transfer, possibly 2, that I'm going to make next week, with fixtures in mind. Outside of that, I'm going to try and hold on to those wild cards, because last season it was a real frustration. We were getting towards the end of the year. I mean, and not only does he not spend points, he doesn't use his chips either until much later in the season. So he was sat there with, I think, 3 wild cards, or it was something ridiculous.
All of them.
Yeah, he had all the chips to use, and I'd long since frittered mine away. So trying to use those a bit more tactically this year. Later on in the season, we have double game weeks where teams have got 2 fixtures, and that's really where you should be using them. Probably not just setting them up for the 1 game week at the kickoff. I've learned a lesson there.
You play a bit like a child in that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But you don't get, but with a child with more knowledge. So you're excitable in that you're like, oh, I've got chips, I'll use them without any thought of the future, which is fine.
It's the story of the prodigal son, lads. Quick biblical reference. I've got my inheritance there. I'm using it, and I will come crawling back at the end of the season, covered in pig swaller. Yeah.
Well, it's a reference I wasn't expecting this season. Have you got so this season then? I mean, every season you say, "Oh, I've got my fixtures planned out for the first few weeks."
True.
Have you got a particular tactic this season with maybe teams you're targeting, or with the World Cup in mind? Is there anything that you're thinking I'm going to do this season?
Well, I don't know. There's a couple of teams you might not have heard of them. That's called Man City and Liverpool. I just feel like there's good times ahead for those guys. Something decent could happen for them this year. So, making sure I've got players involved with them. I look at I've looked at the fixtures, and both those teams have kind fixtures in the opening 6 or 7. Beyond that, my tactics have revolved around where I'm putting the most spend in terms of positions. So. Do I invest a lot of money up front? I've just had a switch around at the last minute because I didn't think there was much value up front. It's where the value sits, really. You've got 100 million to spend. Where are you going to spend it? And for me, defense has been where there's been most value. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, high scoring defenders, I think, is probably my strategy this season.
Anthony?
Well, I think I'm just going to say at this point, boys, credit. I mean, we know we just talked about how miserable I am, but credit to you, boys. Both of you played the game very well last year. I mean, Mike, as you say, does play the game how it should be played. He plays it with fun. He does his homework, but he also plays it with fun. And if he has a bad week, unlike me, he throws his toys out the pram. He does take it in good heart, laughs it off. Plenty of banter going on our WhatsApp group. But for me, boys, what I'm going to do this season to try and get a bit more fun in it is to get my 11-year-old to help me, who has been badgering me all of last season, laughing at me even more than you two were, actually, how bad I was, telling me how much he knows. So this year, we're kind of doing it together. We're a bit of a team, which you can probably tell, actually, just from the name of the change of name on my team. If you go,
what's it changed to, Ant?
D's nuts. I mean, you've both got young kids.
Very
what
gangster.
Does that mean? Yeah,
I know
D's nuts. What
I
does
know
that mean?
nothing. What does that mean?
D's nuts.
I don't know. I saw someone on Twitter saying
probably
about.
want to check that. Yeah.
No, don't worry. I think I know enough that it's nothing dodgy. It's something some YouTuber or something. I don't know, but these nuts, whatever. And yeah, a lot of it is probably going to go wrong because we're going to base it around having Bournemouth players in our squad.
Right. Well,
it sounds like you're pieing off any responsibility when you have a bad week now, and you can just blame it on your son.
100%. Last year, I only had myself to blame. This time, I've got an 11-year-old to blame.
Your 11-year-old, and this isn't a threat, is going to need to come into our WhatsApp group.
That's absolutely fine. He's got WhatsApp.
He's gonna need to get some abuse too, I imagine.
Oh, he would love a bit of banter. He would give you some back. Don't worry.
So
these nuts.
These nuts, whatever that means. My only tactic this season, because, and I said this last year when I'd won the previous 2 seasons. I've now won the previous 3 seasons. I just want someone else to win, and I tried last year. I was throwing it away at the end.
There's no need.
So my plan this season is just, we're all Bournemouth fans. Target Bournemouth. I mean, me personally,
you're just going to target Bournemouth.
So whenever, Ant's, I mean, fair play to him. He must be a bigger Bournemouth fan than I, and also naive. He is trying to include Bournemouth players, and that is lovely. And some people it's often a question asked, isn't it, in fantasy football? Do you put in players from the team you support in hope that if they score, not only do you get that thrill of them scoring for your team, but you get the points? Or do you do what I'm doing, especially as a Bournemouth fan, where it's less attractive to necessarily have Bournemouth players in your team? And each week I've lined up now my transfers based on having a player who's attacking in the team that Bournemouth are playing against.
So you're hedging your bet. So if Bournemouth have a bad week, at least potentially one of your players in the team has done well.
Replace if to when. I mean, Bournemouth.
Come on now.
The Bournemouth manager Scott Parker last week said, "This is a right old mess. We need some players. We need help. We're in trouble." So yeah. So My game plan is to target Bournemouth. Other listeners may want to do the same. We've not got Eddie Howe anymore, guys. Not got Eddie Howe anymore.
I would just say just on that, I've read quite a few previews to the Premier League season, and I've yet to read one where we aren't predicted to come bottom. So take of that what you will. I think everyone's saying the same thing. We feel like we've got a worse squad now than we ended last season. But let's see, boys. Let's see.
All right. Let's move it on, lads. This is depressing me.
Positivity then. There have been some new signings. Not many at Bournemouth, but Ant, you've been looking at some. Who are you going for then? Who are you suggesting we get in fantasy football?
Well, I cheered myself up actually, boys, just looking through the Sky Sports list, club by club of transfers. Amazingly, a lot of clubs have done similar business to us, i.e. 2 or 3 signings. Or in Leicester's case, they've done absolutely none whatsoever, which is quite amazing. I am tipping them to struggle actually, and Brendan Rodgers to get sacked, but that's another discussion. My first tip, boys, and I'm just looking at the stats on this player. He's already been selected by a whopping 72% of players. But I think it's the best
we know who that is.
His best bit of business, Gabriel Jesus, £45 million from Manchester City to Arsenal. I think it says it all that Manchester City are that confident.
Really?
Yeah, they are selling to what should be a direct rival, really. But he's only £8 million on the game, which I don't think is too
direct
bad.
rival might be stretching it a tad. But look, 8 million on the game, 72% of people surely can't be wrong. He started preseason on fire, scored a hat-trick at the weekend, scored a lovely goal in a preseason friendly previous to that as well. He will start every week. I'm very sure of that. And he plays down the middle, which he didn't do often enough for City. So, I'm one of those 72%. That has him,
Indeed. Right. And then just on Arsenal's fixtures, boys, if you're looking at that in terms of the FDR, the fixture difficulty rating, they haven't got even anything worse than a 3 until game week 6 when they play Man United away. And then their first 5 is Liverpool at home on game week 10. So they've got us on game week 3 away, Fulham at home, Villa at home, Everton at home, Brentford away. I mean, they're winnable games, aren't they? You would expect him, especially the form like Mike said in pre-season. I think you've got to be in that 72%. Not very original, but I think he's one of those must-have players to start the season.
I need someone with that kind of ownership whose price is only going to inflate. So get on him now before he becomes too expensive for you.
Can I just say at this point? So I usually run the Twitter account at FPL Threesome Pod. I've come off that for personal reasons. I just can't deal with that added bit of stress right now. I love you all dearly. I really do, but I just got to deal with myself.
Very Michael Jackson. I love you all.
Thank you. So I've come off the Twitter, as you call it, and so I haven't seen a single draft for teams. I don't know what other people are doing out there. I just made my team. So I'm quite looking forward to having a fresh. So my team might be nothing like anyone else's because I haven't been looking at other teams. Have you been looking at other people's drafts online, Mike? Does that help you?
Yeah, I've taken over the Twitter handle for now, and there is a lot of left or right. So I've had a bit of fun with this yesterday for an hour. I just scrolled down and down and down and just answered left to everybody. Just for a bit of fun.
Is left or right? You know what way?
So they put two. They put two teams up side by side, or
I see.
You know, like a couple of players versus a couple of players. I just answered left to everyone. So,
I mean,
your reward should you listen to the pod and not just follow us on Twitter. Your reward is little sneaky tip: ignore any left or rights I've come out with because I just did left.
FPL Harry is watching on. Says he loves a bit of left or right. I've not seen left or right before because I'm off the Twitter. I'm glad
big in that community.
I'm glad that within I don't know a week of you running the Twitter account, you are just flippantly
engaged with a lot of people.
Yeah, you wanted to start a fight with someone, didn't you? Or you said you looked like you wanted to start a fight with someone or something.
What has gone on? But went behind my back.
Don't worry about that.
Not to take the podcast away, but I need a debrief.
I feel like you'd had a 0% beer.
What have you done?
It's fine. Everything's fine. Everyone's happy. But
the whole
nobody up
community
until this point, I
anyway.
don't think really. Somebody talked about having a fight with me. It's fine. Everything's cool. I have engaged, I reckon, with maybe 200, 250 people in the last week just by writing the word left. So I guess our engagement's up. I don't know.
Haven't you just got to be your own man here? You're talking about looking at other teams. Why are you looking at other teams, boys? You got to concentrate on yourself, haven't you?
Well,
don't worry about what everyone else is doing.
Advice. I get left
you don't
or
need
right.
advice, Phil. You've won.
If you don't need advice, switch off now.
Well, yeah. No, listen.
Thanks for tuning in. See you later.
Listen, I get that, and when I was on the Twitter 6 weeks ago in the good old days, the left or right is it? So is it now like people just say left or right, or do they say A or B? Or
no, they'll say like left. I really think that Nunez is going to hit the ground running. I just put left.
So left or right is a thing, is it?
Oh, it's a thing. Yeah, check it out sometime, gang.
Right. Okay. Because I'm not very. I mean, something that I've done this summer is my wife's watched Love. I haven't. We've recorded the final. I've had to watch Love Island all summer, so I thought I was quite down with the kids. People say vibe a lot,
and you hadn't even heard of D's Nuts.
Haven't heard of D's Nuts. Haven't heard of Left or Right. I have heard of Left or Right as in directions, but yeah, I mean, it's just surprising. So
like
left or right is a big thing.
It's not your problem anymore, Phil. Not your problem.
FPL Harry saying left pick Bournemouth players, right target Bournemouth. Right. I get the idea. Thanks, Harry. Okay. Right. I can't remember where we were. And
we're talking about transfers.
What were you talking about?
We've certainly talked about one.
We talked about Jesus. 72% for me is the player you've got to have looking at fixtures. The next one is actually, when I saw this come in, I thought this was a brilliant bit of business, actually. A lot of money, £47.5 million. Raheem Sterling off to Chelsea. He's played for some mighty clubs now. But I actually think this is a really, really good bit of business. I know Chelsea have struggled a little bit in pre-season. A lot of people making, they're worried in terms of Chelsea fans that they lost heavily to Arsenal in pre-season. But £10 million is still a lot. But he's only 7% ownership at the moment, boys. Could he be a differential, especially if you look at Chelsea's opening fixtures? Everton away, Tottenham home, Leeds away, Leicester home, Southampton away, West Ham. I mean, they've got a lovely, lovely spate of green fixtures there to start the season. What do you think, boys? Would you fork out 10 million for Sterling?
Well, I have done. There you go. I'm telling you now. I have done. He's in my team. Both those players you mentioned so far are in my team. Yeah, I think Sterling is a bit of a differential. And for first-time listeners who are learning the game, that just talks about a player who has a low ownership compared to other players who might score you points, outside of the norm.
So patronising.
This is a new season. There'll be new listeners.
I very much doubt that. Not to our podcast.
Okay. But yeah. So no, I like Sterling, and I think he's pretty fixture-proof as well. And I think by far and away he'll be their highest point scorer this season.
Do you start the first season? Sorry, and I'm enjoying the segment of yours. Do you start the first week of the season with players you know are going to start, or do you like having a bit of a gambly? Because Sterling, for me, is he going to? I suppose he's a big signing. He's
absolutely going to start.
He 100% agree with Mike. Yeah, he will start surely.
There's one in my side that I'm ever so slightly unsure on whether he'll start. The rest, I've picked certain starters, and I've shied away in what are a lot of the template teams. I won't explain what template teams are because we've got no new listeners. But in a lot of the template teams out there, people are picking. Can I give an example?
You can give an example because I've picked my team.
Okay, so a lot of people are going for Perisic, and he's only played, I think, 45 minutes in pre-season so far. And he's also a player who started on average every other game under Conte at Inter Milan. So I'm not convinced he starts. And with 5.5 million to splash out on him, I think that's probably better spent elsewhere for now. But he's one that I'd have on my watch list.
He's scored a lot of goals for someone who's a defender in the game.
Yeah, of course. And I'm sure if he fulfills any kind of potential, I'd be jumping on him, and if he's starting regularly. But at the moment, Tottenham, you look at how many Tottenham defenders there are listed on the game. There are so many, and you've got a lot of options on both wings. Difficult. You've got Spence, you've got Doherty, you've got You've got Reguilon, who's probably going to move on. Down the other wing, you've got Perisic. Who else have we got at wing back? Which I think there's a lot of them. Romero. You've got a lot of them. There's a lot of them. So Perisic I don't think is nailed on to start, and so for that reason, I'm not going to invest 5.5 at him, from the outset.
I mean, just on Spurs, Jed Spence was another one I had on my watch list. Mike, as I say, want someone to keep an eye on. 4.5 million, I think, on the game. 20 million quid. We know how good he was for Nottingham Forest in their promotion campaign.
Yeah, I think both him and Sessegnon. Actually, I think Sessegnon probably starts the first game. He started every pre-season game, and I think he played 12 of the last 15 games last season as well. So Conte obviously rates him. He didn't really get much of a run previous to that in the Spurs side since joining from Fulham a couple of years back. But I think he'll probably start, and will then Perisic will come in and get more involved. But so at 4.5, you've got a couple of options there. But yeah, there's apart from, I would say, Dyer, there are no certainties there in that back line for Tottenham.
Yeah, that's fair. So you're trying not to take too many gambles.
Yeah. Play it safe for game week 1, surely. You don't want to see the team you use on game week 1 and see players in your starting lineup not starting. It doesn't make you feel great, does it?
I distinctly remember 2 years ago being really clever and getting Saliba for Arsenal.
I remember that too.
When are you going to base your team around? Smart. I seem to remember. Yeah.
No, I was going to base my team around Mohamed El Neni.
That's the one. Yeah.
That was also a bad idea.
Well, it was a bad idea, but you still beat me and Mike comfortably, so probably says a little bit about us. Anyway, boys.
Next signing then, are you interested?
The next must-have, I think. Again, not very original, but Haaland, again, he's in my team. 11.5 million, so he's super pricey. 48%, boys, so he's kind of similar to when Werner came in. Do you remember when Werner signed for Chelsea and everyone had him in that first game week? Feels a bit similar to that, but again, Mike's just mentioned the phrase fixture proof. I think he is that. You look at Man City's first few games, West Ham away. I mean, triple captainship, boys. Play it game week 2, home to Bournemouth. Newcastle away, Palace home, Forest home, Villa away, Spurs home. Look at those fixtures right through until October. And I know he missed that sitter, and I don't know why people are making so much of that in the Community Shield last week. We know he missed a sitter, but he is human. I think he's another must-have for game week 1. Boys,
he missed 2 or 3 chances, and I think of the 2 at 11.5, there's him and there's Kane. I personally, I'm gonna start with Kane, and I'm ready to switch out from to Haaland if he has a half decent game in game week 1. But yeah, first week, I'm going with a known quantity there in Kane at home to Saints.
It's very exciting that we've got a raft of striking options. After last season, you had Kane, potentially Tony, and at the start of the season, you had old matey boy at West Ham. My man at West Ham.
Yes.
Give me a name.
Yes. I'll give you Fred. He plays for Man United.
That's not his name. Why can't I think of his name?
Yeah,
Mikel Antonio.
Thank you, Antonio. Thank you.
Yeah, but he didn't really have many striking options, mainly because Bamford was injured for most of the season. So now you've got Jota's been moved up front, hasn't he? You've got
so was Son.
No, he hasn't. But thank you for coming. I don't think so. Darwin Núñez, who little preview for you in my team. Haaland, Kane, Vardy. There's some big strikers now.
Vardy, surely a spent force now.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I mean, I've always relied on Vardy, but Leicester, for me, boys, I touched on them briefly earlier. No signings at all this summer. The only club in the Premier League to be in that position. I suppose you could argue they've not sold anyone. There's a lot of rumours, isn't there, around Maddison going off to Newcastle, which hasn't happened. And
strangely, Schmeichel as well.
Yeah, well, he's been there forever, isn't he? But I mean, for me, I have to agree again with Mike. Vardy, he's 34 now, is he? 34 years of age. He's always had that pace to get in behind defenders. Surely that's going to be leaving that side of his game soon. And that kind of money, when you've got, like you say, Núñez and players like that for the same kind of money, I don't think you would be touching Vardy.
Yeah.
Hit us with the next one, Ant.
Well, I've obviously talked about players I think you've got to have. What about some other kind of enablers, some kind of cheaper options, some kind of exciting prospects here, boys? So Nottingham Forest, we know, is running on a bit of a wave back in the Premier League after 23 years, and I think They made a couple of really interesting signings here to keep an eye on, and they're cheap as well. What about Nico Williams? Just £4 million. Had a really good season for Fulham last year, right back in their promotion campaign. Again, Forest fixtures. I know it's obviously going to be tough for them back in the top 5, but Newcastle away, West Ham home, Everton away to start the season. I don't think that's horrendous. As I say, he's cheap, £4 million. Could be what we like to call an enabler. What do you think, boys?
He's I think third sub material, isn't he?
Well, he's owned by 27% of game players at the moment for just that reason. He was also very, very good on loan last season at Fulham. Bomb forward created I think he was their second or third most creative player in the second half of the season. So, I would definitely be looking at him as if you look at the 4 millions. Well, we'll do that in a little while. But if you look at the 4 million defenders, you're scratching around. There's probably only a handful that are genuinely going to start week in, week out.
Who else you got, Amp?
What about Jesse Lingard? Actually, a lot of negative press around his move to Forest with the wages they're talking about. 1 year contract, so very much in it for the short term. But I think potentially he could thrive at Forest. He'll be the big fish, as it were. What do you boys think? £6 million? Are you tempted?
I think that Jay Lings knows what these nuts means.
I think he definitely knows what these nuts means.
Yeah. I look forward to finding out. I had him in my team, and then I've downgraded to someone else. Well, I've got someone slightly cheaper because I'm just not sure. It just feels so mercenary that I wonder how much he cares. Do you know what I mean? I think he'll enjoy being a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever really had a lengthy bad spell for a team, ever, because I think he thrives on playing, and I think I don't think he's a bad shot. I think he probably will be decent for Forest. I think there are other exciting options for Forest. You can get Brennan Johnson for 6 million, albeit a striker. For Forest at 6 million. I actually expect him to have a better season than Lingard. It's not talking like for like because we're talking a midfielder against a striker, but for the same value, if I had 6 million to spend on a Forest asset, Brennan Johnson would be my pick.
Okay.
Go with that.
Yeah, go on then.
A few others I think are pretty exciting signings. So Keane Lewis Potter was one for Brentford. I think a couple of concerns obviously here in that we don't know if he's going to start every week. I think Brentford might suffer a little bit from the old second season syndrome, but he was a brilliant player for Hull in a poor Hull team last season. Just again, 5.5 million, 0.1% ownership here. Maybe you want to keep an eye on, boys. Do you think? Again,
he's 100% on my watch list. I think I tweeted something to that effect from my own account, obviously, as opposed to the FPL threesome pod. I really, really like him. He's a bag of tricks, and I imagine he'll probably be on set pieces for them as well. Really, really like him. I think he might need a bit of time to grow into the Premier League, but I think he'll be the standout player this year. I think he's that good.
Phil, what do you think?
Well, he scored 12 goals last year in the Championship.
Which, in a poor Hull team, who were fighting relegation for most of the season.
Which Brentford might end up doing as well. But yeah, in a poor Hull team, if he gets the starts, I think he'd be decent, but I certainly wouldn't have him in straight from the start. I'd kind of have to watch him and see what happens on that one.
Okay. The final one for me then, boys, and again, someone who I think will be a watcher and I think will want to definitely keep an eye on. Someone I really would love to start from game week 1, Christian Eriksen. Really pleased for him to get that big money move to Man United. I know that obviously he was the miracle story last year around his move to Brentford, but how good was he in the second half of last season? He was fantastic.
He was really good. He was really good because he was the main man there, and he was immediately put on set plays. I'm just not sure where he fits at United. I think they recognise they're going to play a lot of games in Europe this season, and they want to be involved in cup competitions, no doubt. So they'll need a bigger squad under Ten Hag. But Ten Hag or Van Hag?
Ten Hag.
Definitely 10.
Doubted myself there for a minute, lads. Yeah, I just not sure where he fits. I can see that Fred and McTominay could switch in for one of those, but he's not a particularly defensive player. He'd maybe play that Hernandez role that Hernandez played there for United. But further up the pitch, they're blessed with a huge amount of number 10s, all of whom are good on set plays. So I'm not convinced he starts every week. There's a lot of people looking at Rashford as well and thinking suddenly he's going to come back a revived player because there's a World Cup just around the corner. I don't see it.
No,
loads and loads of templates out there when I was picking left or right had Rashford as part of their setup, and I don't really. I'm not sure I jump on either of those at the moment.
So they're both 6.5 million in the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would just say, just on one other club I was going to mention was Newcastle. Obviously, with all the money they've kind of been bankrolled, I think there was a lot of talk and a lot of expectation there would be a lot more big money signings, but really just the three with Matt Targett, Nick Pope, and Sven Botman. What do we think there? I mean, I expected Newcastle to be well inside the top 10 this season, but kind of surprised they've not made some bigger signings over the summer.
Well, their form post January was top 4 form. They were in the top 4 for form second half of the season, and I think they've proved that with the squad they had, they're capable of a top 10 finish for sure. I mean, Target, we can count him as a signing, I suppose, but he was on loan last year anyway. So you've only got 2 fresh faces through the door at the moment, but they are being linked with a number, and I'm sure there'll be new faces through the door. Guimaraes is a player I think that a lot of people are considering at 6 million in midfield. I don't know. They
want James Maddison, don't they? They've put in 2 bids for him so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've also been linked with Timo Werner as well. So yeah, I'm interested to see what happens there. But of the Newcastle players in terms of attacking prospects, obviously Wilson is an obvious choice. But I did like what I saw of Guimaraes after he came in last year.
He's quite cheap, isn't it? You say that is definitely an option.
He's more of a box-to-box player, isn't he, Guimaraes?
Yeah, but he seemed to pop up with quite a few points. So I think he might be worth a look. There's one player that I wasn't expecting you to go for, Rand, but you haven't mentioned yet. So if you're happy for me just to quickly flag him up, another one just on my watch list at the moment. But Gianluca Scamacca, who was signed for 30 million euros by West Ham in the last couple of weeks. His goal per game ratio is pretty solid. He plays as an out-and-out centre forward, and it was really obvious, I thought, with West Ham with Bob Antonio last season. His form completely tailed off, and there was no competition for him up front. But I think bringing this guy in, he's a bit of a target man. But he scored 24 goals in 65 games in Serie A. Last season, in what was a pretty poor side, he was playing for Sassuolo. He scored 16 goals in 41 games. He's only a youngster, but he's 23 years old. And I think at 7 million, he's definitely somebody I'll be keeping an eye on.
He's definitely one to watch, isn't he? Okay, so normally at this point previously we would have had a quiz by now, but we're not going to do because that then picks who gets their captain picked by a listener, which we're not doing this week because we haven't had the season start yet. It's nice to pick our captain in the first week at least. So Mike has got a wheel to spin, and we're going to go over the best players for various amounts of money.
Yes, I've got on here on the wheel, I've got various positions, so goalkeeper, defender, midfielder, attack, and I've got a value against them on different spaces of the wheel. So I'm going to give you the position and the value, and where they're going to debate, if there's any debate to be had, who is the best player in that position at that value.
Okay.
It might just throw up one or two thoughts for our listeners. Let's spin that wheel. Oh, it's quite a long.
Is it still spinning? Oh, yeah. Wow.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, so 8 million midfielder. Obviously, you can if you want to go low, you've got 8 million to play with. You don't have to spend it all, but 8 million on a midfielder as your max budget. And why don't I throw to you first? Who's your pick?
What about Saka of Arsenal? He was a player that I really liked last year. Again, Arsenal fixture proof. We've been through that. I really, really like Saka. I think he was one of the players who I had in my team last year, actually consistently well. Arsenal, I'm expecting a bit like Spurs to actually be right up there for challenging for top 4 this season. I think at £8 million, he provides really good value. He was in there with the assists and goals last year. Another one, I know you did say one, but just quickly, my other one at £8 million was actually going to be James Maddison, but I'm just concerned that the whole transfer speculation around him might distract him a little bit. But James Maddison's another one at the £8 million who I really rate. I think he's underrated, actually, but as I say, my concern would be that he might have had his head turned.
Yeah. Phil?
Well, the obvious value for money one at £8 million is Luis Diaz of Liverpool, but so I won't say him because everyone else I'm sure has.
Why do you think that's obvious? Because I think there are 2 other players that are right in the mix with him.
Who are they?
Well, I would say Mason Mount at Chelsea, who's had a really good pre-season, and gave us some big returns tail end of last year, and also Riyad Mahrez. I think with the departure of Jesus and of Sterling as well, I think Mahrez is pretty banked on to play. There's also rumours that Bernardo Silva is going to be leaving as well, so I think Mahrez will start. He had a poor Charity Shield, which is I had him in my side actually, and I've bought him off the back of that. I've bought Mahrez out, but he's one of the transfers I may well bring in week 2.
Okay, the player I was going to go for is Jadon Sancho. Now United are a bit of a mystery. None of us know how they're actually going to be this season. They might be mid-table again. They might be right up there if Ten Hag's really as good as everyone's, United fans certainly are hoping. So, yeah, Jadon Sancho, he was the big signing, wasn't he, going into last season?
He was.
And it just didn't happen for him. It didn't work. So, I think he could have a really good season. He's 7.5 million.
Yeah, he's had a big price drop. He was 9.5 at the start of last year when he came in. So yeah, he could be value. I'm like you say, they're a bit of a basket case of a club at the moment. You've got a player who wants to leave, who they're saying they don't want to leave in Ronaldo. They've got a player who doesn't want to join them in terms of De Jong, who they're saying and they're putting all their eggs in that basket to get him to sign. I don't see a huge turnaround in fortunes. I think people have got very, very excited because they beat the likes of Perth Glory in a pre-season friendly 4-0 or something, and Anthony Martial scored a couple of goals, but really I think that is very much a work in progress, and I'm not sure I'd be rushing to fork out on any United assets.
Okay. Yeah, that's
listen,
fine.
We can agree to disagree.
Yeah, we will. Absolutely. That's the best. That's why I like this game,
Right. Here we go again then, lads. Let's spin
the
that
wheel. Oh, still spinning.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, it's a defender for £5 million. A lot of options in this one. £5 million defender. Ant, what do you reckon?
I've got Arsenal again here, boys. Again, one of the few players who did well for me, Kieran Tierney. I really like him, and I think he's good value.
Yeah,
£5 million. Be on some set pieces. Can see Phil shaking his head, so we'll discuss that in a minute. But for me, I really like him. I'm obviously going. I mean, there's not many players who did well for me last season, but yeah, the Arsenal ones did, and Kieran Tierney is one of them. And I actually think £5 million is good value. Phil, why do you disagree with me then?
I disagree with you because he burnt me significantly last year, Tierney. He was terrible when I brought him in. So for that reason and that reason only, I have not forgiven him. I think Arsenal, while they are looking promising, they have still got some defensive issues and injuries. So I'm not too fussed for them defensively right now. I might hold off on Arsenal for a minute.
Who would you
So
go
who
for?
who are you picking?
So 5 million, I'd be probably looking at Matty Cash of Villa. So it's Cash or Trippier is I mean, if I was young and hip and on the Twitter, I would be saying left Matty Cash, right Kieran Trippier, and I'm sure someone has already done that. I'm sure.
Well, if you did, I'd say left.
You would, but that is your default stance. So yeah, that's my sort of toss up at the moment. So both of those, I can't afford to have both in my team, so I need Cash or Trippier, and Cash crucially plays Bournemouth in game week 1.
He does. I mean, yeah, the first four game weeks for them look pretty decent on paper for them. Bournemouth away, Everton at home, Crystal Palace away, West Ham at home. You've got him or Digne from Villa at 5 mil. I think Coutinho coming in probably means that Digne may well be off corners. I'm not sure, but I expect them both to start.
Sorry, who's coming? I genuinely didn't listen to a word you just said.
Coutinho signed
Yes.
on a permanent, so I imagine he'll be on a lot of the set pieces now. But Digne used to be on corners for them. So I think you've got both of those. I would look at Nathan Ake with the Laporte injury at Man City. He came straight into the team for a team that's going to keep quite a lot of clean sheets, and we've already talked about the favourable run they've got in the first 6. Ake at 5 mil, I think will certainly see you through those first few game weeks, and then you can assess some of those other options. You know, I liked Doherty towards the end of the season for Spurs last season. I think you boys had him at some stage, and but whether he's going to play or not, I can't be sure. So I think Cash is a good shout, or Trippier. I'm not sure, Ant, about Tierney. We'll see there. A lot of people are looking at Tomiyasu for 4.5 in the Arsenal defence. Also looking at Ben White at 4.5. I just wonder if I get what you're saying in terms of his attacking intent, but whether that extra 0.5 spend is genuinely going to be much of an upgrade on those kind of players.
The thing with getting left or right backs, wing backs, as you may call them, is that they can also collect bonus points for creating chances, getting assists, moving on up the field, dribbling past players.
Moving on up.
Oh, thank you for that.
MP.
Whereas a centre back, is less likely to do that. And moving back to Luca Digne, I think he's one of the biggest traps in the whole entire game.
Well, I did say this a year ago.
Well, yeah, but you've just recommended him.
I have just recommended him.
So, I mean, 2018-19 season, 4 goals and 5 assists. Then he had 8 assists the next year, 9 assists the year after that. Then he moved to Villa and got 4 assists. That is it. So for 5 million, I think, you're going to get a lot more from someone else. Cash last year got 4 goals and 3 assists.
Can I throw another name in the hat here, boys, at 5 million?
Oh, please.
Apart from the first fixture, which is nasty, Aaron Cresswell. West Ham were superb last season. City at home, obviously, we know is a horrible way to start, but then they have Forest away, Brighton home, and Villa away. Now, looking at his ownership, I can only presume it is because of that nasty first fixture at 3.6%. But he got 115 points last season, boys. Thought he was super impressive again on set pieces. Again, Phil mentioned about bonus points potentially there, so he might also be an option after game week 1.
And you don't have to get in players. I mean, you could, if you've got a bit of depth in your squad, he can go on your bench game week 1.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
All right, boys, let's spin the wheel.
Let's do it.
Spin it faster. See if
it
goes any faster, that wheel.
It seems to take, I don't know, don't ask me why, but it always seems to take approximately 14 seconds.
That's a lot of seconds for
people
to have to listen to a wheel going around.
There it is. It's goalkeeper at 5 million budget. £5 million budget for a goalkeeper.
Okay.
Quite a few options out there, lads.
Yeah, goalies have been reduced. They've been reduced this season, haven't they? There's no one higher than 5.5 in the goalkeeper department, which has spread the field out a lot more, it looks like, looking at some of these stats. Who are you going for, Em?
I'd go for Nick Pope. I think as I say, he's one of only 2 signings for Newcastle, but I think he's a very good signing. I think he's a very good goalkeeper. He was brilliant for Burnley last season, one of the few shining lights for them in their relegation season. And they start off with Forest at home, Brighton away. I mean, there is a lot of competition, isn't there? If you're looking at goalkeepers for that £5 million mark. But for me, he's right in there. I would see him getting bonus points as well.
Do you think he's the same prospect in a team like Newcastle that he was at Burnley? Because he would pick up a lot of save points at Burnley.
I think he'll thrive. I mean, we know Eddie Howe's teams historically aren't the best at defending, certainly weren't when we were at Bournemouth. But he's a brilliant shot stopper, and I would imagine he'll be in with the bonus points. And looking at the competition around him, I think he's as good a shout as any. Currently sat there with 4.6% ownership.
He's 5 million, yeah?
5 million.
Okay. Phil?
The thing with Pope is that at Burnley, Dyche like to frustrate teams, so eventually they would shoot from the outside the box, which is why Pope got so many saves and so many save points, bonus points. So yeah, I agree with Mark. I'm not sure what sort of a prospect is going to be at Newcastle yet, and when he is the same price as Edward Mendy at Chelsea, surely Chelsea are going to keep more clean sheets than Pope. Saying that, I've just seen they got exactly the same points last season.
Well, there we go.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go for Aaron Ramsdale. Not just because he's a mate of mine, but yeah, I like the run of fixtures that Arsenal have got. I'm not totally convinced, other than Jesus is going to start for them. So I know Ramsdale will, and he always seems to pick up save points and bonus points. So yeah, I was torn between him and Mendy from Chelsea, but yeah, I think I'm going Ramsdale.
Seems like a long time ago, doesn't it, when Arsenal fans were moaning at signing him, and obviously just been relegated with Sheffield United previously with us, and saying that he wasn't good enough, and how quickly they turned. He's very much a fan's favourite now at the Emirates, and yeah, that's a good shout. He's a brilliant goalkeeper, and he was a brilliant signing for Arsenal last season.
Right, I'm going to give you one more.
Can I throw another name?
Oh,
can I be controversial and throw another name into the hat?
Ooh.
Jordan Pickford, 4.5 million this season at Everton. Last year, he made 117 saves, which obviously is exciting. But compare that to the season before, where he only made 89. He got 12 bonus points last season. Everton under Lampard have been unpredictable, but it does keep him busy.
Did you see the save he made in the preseason game against Dynamo Kiev? If you've not seen it, find it on YouTube. It was a ridiculously good save.
On the YouTube?
That's not a bad shout. On the YouTube. Okay. And that's not a bad shout. My only concern with Pickford is there's always a ricket in him. And I would suggest you wouldn't trust him.
A rick or a ricket, just to be clear?
Both.
Yeah. Okay, well, he needs to see a doctor. Unless it's Michael Rickett, in which case I'm very happy for them both.
Oh, amazing.
Could get messy.
It certainly could. Let's spin the wheel one final time, lads. Could be quicker this time. I very much doubt it.
Could be 13 seconds.
How many seconds will it be? That could be a new quiz.
It was 14 again. I am asking about midfielders here. 5.5 million budget. So you can go lower than 5.5 if you wish.
Oh, I will. I will.
But you've got 5.5 to play with.
Off you go. Who are you going for?
Well, again, not to reveal my team, but I'm going for my dear friend at Aston Villa. Do you know who I'm going for, boys?
Yes, Bailey.
Correct.
Oh, he's in a lot of template teams.
Is he?
He's on fire in pre-season, isn't he?
Yeah, I put him in last week.
Yeah, transformed. What's his ownership now, lads?
That's a good question. I don't know. Let's see.
Hang on, let me find it.
He is 10.9% owned. So is that not crazy? Okay. That's good. Leon Bailey. So yeah, pre-season apparently he's being tearing it up. So £5 million. He's playing in a front three of Coutinho, him, and Watkins. So Ings seems to have dropped out of the end of last season. Gerrard was playing two up front, wasn't he? But yeah, I've I've gone Bailey. It's in 10% of teams. It's still higher than I was expecting, actually.
Yeah. I'm afraid, Phil, people have seen through that already. But okay, 5 mil. It'll be in a lot of sides, and for good reason, given his current form. And
well, I mentioned him earlier. What about Lewis Potter for Brentford? I actually think he may start. We don't know, but 0.1% ownership, so he's a proper differential. So yeah, I mean, there's actually just looking through, as Phil was talking, I was looking through around that kind of price. There's not great quality in there, boys, is there, for that kind of money? There really is not. There's no real names that stick out for that kind of money. Certainly not names who are going to get you a bunch of FPL points.
It's 5.5, wasn't it?
Yeah, 5.5.
Have a little look, boys. 5.5. It's not great. I mean, goodness me. I mean, there's a lot of Bournemouth players for that, and we know they're not going to be in the points. So, I mean, Phil, going back to your shout, I think it's a good shout, and I think everyone knows that he's got Bournemouth up first game. That must be why.
Yeah, that'll help him as well. Eze of Palace, I'm a big fan of Eze.
Bit in and out though, bit inconsistent.
Well, he was injured at the start of last season, so he pretty much just came on towards the end of last season to get fitness.
How much is Elise?
5.5 as well, but he's slightly injured.
Okay. Because of those two, I'd reckon on Elise having a far more successful season. But I've got two outside of the box then, lads. Seemingly,
Ooh, go on.
A young man who last season scored 11 goals and assisted 9 from central midfield. Go with a young man by the name of Philip Billing at 5.5.
No, Mikey, that was so not right.
Very harsh.
That is harsh. I do love Phil Bill.
We all do.
In pre-season, he has played more of a holding role, which I don't think is his strength, and I think he's proved to be far better in a number 10. So I hope he gets game time there. If he does, I think there are going to be 2 point scorers for Bournemouth that stand out far above the rest. If last season's anything to go by, and I think Billing and Solanke will be those two players. I think it's very easy to be fooled by his first season with us in the Premier League, where he was played as a number 8 effectively by Howe, and I'm not sure that got the best out of him. So I think he's a bit of an unknown quantity for a lot of people this season, but he could work. And the other one was a player who really shone, but he's in a poor side, and that is Anthony Gordon of Everton at 5.5. I'm not sure. I think he's going to stay on a watch list. I'm not too keen on there. Well, I say the fixtures, they're okay. They play Liverpool, Arsenal and Chelsea in their first 7. So I'd probably just put him on a watch list at the moment. But yeah, Anthony Gordon at 5.5 is an option for sure.
Dwight McNeil for the same reason, actually. He's coming from Burnley to Everton.
Yeah.
He's. I think he might have scored in the preseason game.
Scored a couple of goals, yeah. Scored a couple of goals in the same game, yeah.
So, Dwight McNeil is another one to watch, especially because it looked to me like he'd given up a bit at Burnley and wanted a fresh challenge. So now he's got that. What can he do?
Yeah.
I would also say, boys, again, nasty first fixture, but West Ham have Lanzini, Souček and Fornals all at 5.5, and all who had really good seasons last year with 92, 114 and 117 points respectively. So possible options a bit later on.
Lovely guy as well, Souček. Lovely guy.
Lovely guy.
Lovely
very good at heading the ball.
Indeed he is. So we normally end our podcast with a punt. But before we do that, we've got an exciting announcement to make, haven't we?
Yes.
Super exciting.
Is this about the time traveling we're doing?
Yes. And
okay, good.
Also, I mean, we're not ending. We're not ending just yet with our punts because we've got to do a fixture preview.
And our team reveals.
So maybe I'm just thirsty and want a drink. We're going to be doing a special each week, and it'll last as long as people listen to it. And if people hate it, we'll stop doing it. It's that simple. But we're going to be doing a fixture review, FPL before it happens. So each week, probably Thursday and Friday, it will appear on the YouTube and on our podcast channels. And if you're listening to this, you'll know where they are. And it'll be a very short podcast and YouTube video where we will review the weekend's fixtures that haven't happened yet with confidence and with analysis, and that will give you a heads up as to what players you will definitely want because we'll know what's going to happen. Is that pretty much how it works, Mike?
That's pretty much how it works.
Yeah. So you can look forward to that. And if you hate it, do tell us because I'm not in charge of Twitter anymore, so I don't care. And Mike apparently is a fan of starting fights. So
tell us. Tell
news.
us, and I'll tell you exactly what I think of you.
The gloves are on.
Okay. Well, don't upset people who I genuinely made some lovely friends on there.
Not anymore, you haven't.
Okay, great. So should we do our fixture preview first, or should we do our team reveal? Should we do a team reveal? That'll shake things up a bit.
Yeah, sure. The fixture preview.
We'll just run through the fixtures.
Will we?
Yeah, briefly.
Okay.
And then because a lot of people may not want to listen to the fixture preview later in the week. They might be busy. Fine. But if they are going on a little 10-minute dog walk or something, perfect.
So just to be clear, the fixture review is us playing the games in our minds, really, and telling you how they've turned out
before they happen.
So
they crucially, a little tease. He's not in my side, but you will probably want to get Jean-Philippe Mateta in your team this week. 5.5 million. But that will be saved for the podcast later in the week. No one expected it. No one expected Jean-Philippe to be there. No. So we're going to do our team reveals, but to make them more exciting, we will have to do them in a particular style. I will give you your style to do it in. Mike, do you want to go first?
Sure. Am I going to give you my bench as well?
Yeah,
I'll have to give that at the end. Yeah, fine.
Give that at the end.
Just for reference.
So I will pick a number between...
I've not designed my kit yet.
I haven't designed mine.
It's just grey.
Yeah, that's disappointing that. So
they do very well against Manchester United, though, in the 90s.
They do.
Against Southampton. Sorry.
No,
against.
They don't do well against Southampton.
They don't do well against Southampton. Okay,
this is going well.
So, Mike, you pick a number between 1 and 4.
I'll go for number 3, please.
Okay, you have to reveal your team in the style of Alanis Morissette singing the song "Ironic."
Oh, okay. Ramsdale in goal, and I love him so. He's my best mate. So. In defense, I've got Trippier and Cancelo. I've got Reece James and Cash. Whoa. And into midfield, Raheem Sterling. Into midfield, Luis Diaz. Into midfield, Coutinho. It's like Darwin Núñez, Gabriel, Jesus, and Harry Kane. Here is my bench. Ward, Martinelli, Nico Williams, Andreas.
Wonderful.
I would not have known that song was that song until you sang it, Mike. So thank goodness that was you.
So can I just give it in real life? Because I'm not sure people have really grasped it. They've just heard me whining for 30 seconds.
Yeah, can we not just read them out?
Have grasped it. You did a great job. We could just read them out if you want now, Ant.
Yeah, I can't sing.
Brilliant.
We all know what a great voice Mike has.
Maybe just don't sing it because I'd like to have explained.
Well, you didn't have to sing it. If you'd have picked a different
Is there another option that doesn't involve singing? Because
that is the only one that does involve singing.
Right, well, give me another one.
Oh, okay. Right, give me another number. Give me another number. 2. You're a fruit and veg market seller.
Right, perfect. Okay.
Oh, this is going to be right up his alley.
Here we go. All right, ladies and gents. All right. Aaron Ramsdale in goal. It's Aaron Ramsdale making the saves. Only 5 mil. 5 mil for Aaron Ramsdale. Moving into defence. Another 5 mil, ladies. You know you want to. It's Kieran Trippier. Yes, he'll be on the set pieces, my love. Cancelo. He's in defence. Along with James. You get your Cancelo, you get your James. I'll give you a cash free, my lovely. That's right. Cash free. We all love the cash, don't we, girls? Moving into midfield, then we've got Raheem Sterling. Sterling with a Diaz and with a Coutinho. Oh, exotic, aren't they, madam? Moving into the up front. We call them the strikers. We've got Darwin Núñez, Harry Kane, and what a trio. That's right, we've got Jesus. A bench full, ladies, full of bargains. Martinelli at 6 mil, Ward at 4 mil. He's going to play, ladies, I assure you. Neco Williams, he's only the 4 mil. And Andreas Pereira, apparently he's become the world's best player because everyone's picking him. He's 4.5 mil. He's my third sub. Thank you, ladies. No.
It's a lot of ladies at your market.
Well, they do gather.
What's worrying is that it was like you'd rehearsed that, and I know that you hadn't.
No.
Yeah.
I've had a pant. Yeah, I do.
You are wasted in your current job, my friend.
Yeah. So any holes you want to pick in that, lads? Because
I didn't listen to a word of it other than your wonderful accent, so I've no idea who your team is, but it sounded great.
I can't do it for a third time, lads.
No one wants to hear it for a third time. I think most people got it. I was still. I can't really actually get your face from the Alanis Morissette version out of my mind. It's very grinny. But yeah, you've gone Kane over Haaland then. In that sort of straight.
Yeah,
choice.
but ready to swap him in week 2.
Yeah. Who was your? You were saying Ward is sure to start. Is that Ward of Crystal Palace? Is that Ward from Leicester?
It's Ward from Leicester.
Because
I think he's sure to start. Yeah, and Brendan's been talking him up this week. Home to Brentford. I mean, I'm going to stick with Ramsdale because I think he'll get me more points. But yeah, I think Brentford potentially spring a bit of a surprise up at Leicester this weekend. But yeah, having him as a genuine 4 mil player who I think will be their number one. 4 mil. I think I did that last season as well.
Yeah,
you've got him. You've got him and Gazaniga at Fulham, who I think is going to be a regular starter at 4 mil as well. So if you wanted to alternate, actually, I did see on the Twitter, there's a great option for swapping Sanchez at Brighton with your man at Leicester, Ward. Their fixtures, they just correlate really nicely where you can swap one in and one out each week. My worry, believe this, lads, look at the planning I've gone to this. My worry is I wanted to leave 0.5 mil. So if Kane went up in price or Haaland went up in price, I could do that swap and it wouldn't be difficult for me to do. I wouldn't have to swap 2 players.
Yeah.
But I have spent my full 100 mil now. So yeah, tricky. Tricky.
Okay.
Anyway, there's my side, lads.
Very good. Very lovely.
Thank you.
Good to see.
Thank you.
Shall I give you mine and then we'll do Ants?
Yes, please.
So I've gone for Mendy in goal, 5 million.
Oh, sorry. What's happening here? You're not doing it as some kind of sheep farmer or something? Why are you just reading?
Well, we just wanted to hear your market caller, mate.
Yeah,
how wonderful it was.
I thought that, bearing in mind, a little preview for people who are going to listen to the new separate YouTuber podcasty thing, I will be a roaming reporter and I may have to do several accents. So I should probably save my voice for that, shouldn't I, mate?
Fine. Okay, crack on.
So Edmund Mendy in goal. Trent, Cash, and my boy Dan Burn at the back.
Dan Burn, there's a difference.
Burn. All 7 foot of him.
Yeah, he got a little bit of 1.3% ownership. Dan Burn. He, the Burn ultimatum. Then midfield, we've got Bakayo Saka. I'm going to give him a go this season. You know, he's burnt me every time I've had him. Me and him have not started well together, but this season I'm giving him a fresh start. Drawing a line under it. Let's go. Mentioned him earlier. Leon Bailey, 5 million. Perfect. Salah. Oh, you don't have Salah in your team, do you, Mike?
Don't have Salah or Trent, lads.
Okay. That's fine. Each to their own. Salah's ownership this year is 59%. Then I've fallen for the speculation of Marcus Rashford trying to get ready for the.
Oh dear.
So I got Marcus Rashford in there. I've got Darwin Núñez, Gabriel Jesus, and Haaland up front.
That's interesting. So we potentially week 2 will have the same 3 strikers.
Yes, because Man City play Bournemouth week 2. See, what you'll notice is that I've got 2 Villa players for week 1 and Haaland for week 2. Then game week 3, Arsenal play Bournemouth, and as you can see, Saka and Jesus. Always thinking, boys. On my bench, just on that, on my bench, always thinking, moving forward, Ben White. The triple against Bournemouth in game week 3. There we go. Neco Williams, and I've also got Andreas Andreas Pereira, just because I think they paid that much money for him that at least he should play. And for 4.5 million on my bench, that'll do. I've got Gazaniga as my backup.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, then, Anne.
Well, boys, my formation, game week 1, 5-2-3.
Big at the back and also the front. 2 in midfield.
2 in midfield. I didn't even know you could do that. Look at that. There we go. So we've got Alisson in goal. I said we because my lad did a lot of this. Alisson in goal. Cancelo, Maguire, Harry Maguire, Captain Maguire, Harry Maguire, Manchester United. Hey boys, they're gonna mold that Manchester United defense around him.
You know what? I don't know why people boo him.
I don't know why people boo him.
No.
I think likable guy.
I'll boo you for picking him. How much have you paid for him?
£5 million. Home to
Sorry,
Brighton, boys.
do you remember we talked about Cash, Trippier, Doherty, Ake? You're going for Harry Maguire.
I tell you what,
Brighton.
Just checking. This is locked in, is it?
Well, it's not locked in. I mean, is this due to change, boys? I mean, your team's locked in.
Mine are locked in.
Yours can't be. Can't be, Michael. Come on. As soon as this pod finishes, you'll be tinkering. Come on.
The best thing is, right, for anyone who has listened this deep into the podcast, this is your reward. And it's revealed he's got Harry Maguire in his team.
Hey, I tell you what, boys, if he scores against Brighton, which could happen, he could come up set piece. Oh, how I will mock you. Let me finish before you continue mocking me. That's fine.
Yeah.
Mocking my son. Van Dijk alongside Koulibaly and Tierney. So nice 5 at the back there, boys.
Koulibaly.
That Chelsea, yeah?
Yes, he rang up John Terry this week just to ask if he could have the 26. I think he's going to play.
Can I just ask about, you've gone for Van Dijk. Why have you gone for Van Dijk at 6.5 mil when you've got, you've got a lot of options out there at 6.5 mil. You've got Chilwell, you've got Reece James, both at 6.
Stretch a bit more, get Cancelo.
I think he's because he's big and he likes heading the ball from.
Stretch a bit more and get Robertson. You have £500,000 off Robertson.
Yeah, well, that's what I say.
You've gone for a very centre-back heavy defence.
Love a centre-back scoring from corners, boys. You heard it here first. So my midfield too.
It didn't hear it first.
Absolutely tearing your team apart already. Okay.
I mean to hear it. I mean, defenders scoring headers at corners. This isn't a big reveal from you. I've been aware of this since I've watched football.
Let me finish. Anyway,
carry on.
Midfield 2. What a 2 this is. Kevin De Bruyne and Philip Billing. What a 2 that is. Good grief. You can see where the points are coming from there.
This better be one hell of a front line. This better be one hell of a front line.
Billing. Oh, boys, you wait till you see the bench.
Hey, I've talked up Billing. I've talked up Billing myself, I've got no issue with that. It's just unusual to see him in a 2.
De Bruyne, who no one's mentioned, which is, I think he's a really good differential. 15.5% ownership on De Bruyne, but he's £13 million, and you could have Son for the same price.
Wait, how much is Salah?
Sorry, De Bruyne is £12 million.
I was going to say,
Salah's 13 million.
12 million is De Bruyne and Son. Yeah.
Okay, well, this is brilliant so far.
I'm enjoying this, Anthony.
You're presumably going to have Kane and
We're all having
Haaland.
fun, boys.
You're going to have Kane and Haaland. He's going to have Kane.
No, Mike. Let's guess his front 3.
Oh, Kane, Haaland, Jesus.
I mean, I think he's a big fan of Calvert-Lewin. So I'm going Calvert-Lewin, Vardy, Kane. That's my prediction.
I mean, for judging on what he said so far, I would imagine he's going for Ayew.
Dom, Solanke.
Go on, mate. Go on. Hit us with
Mike got 2 of the 3. Phil got none of the 3. Oh. It is Jesus, and he's captain, which is controversial because it's the first game of the week as well.
Yeah,
Haaland,
that's the worst idea.
Vice captain, and Dominic Solanke. What a front 3 that is, boys.
Oh, I do love that. I
enjoy that. I enjoy that. Haaland's playing in the last game of the weekend, which makes me want to captain him.
Presumably, with that team, man, you've got one heck of a bench.
Well,
yeah,
no,
I imagine the bench.
Is Salah on the bench?
Bowen.
You think the first 11 is funny? You listen to this bench, boys. Travers is my keeper.
Oh, I love Travs.
Jim Bowen, and then I think.
Hold on. Jared Bowen.
Jared Bowen on the bench. Yeah.
Oh, because they've got a tricky first fixture.
Thank you. Well done.
Right.
Morgan Gibbs-White, second on the bench. I think my lad had him on FIFA and he thought he was quite good. He was very good for Sheffield United last season. Not convinced he'll do the same for Wolves.
Don't know whether he'll play for them.
They didn't want him there last season, so they'll probably start him this season.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And then the FPL fiend is Harry Winks as bench player number 3. 2.1% ownership, home to Southampton. What a differential that guy is to come off.
I'm really dizzy. I might faint. I might genuinely faint.
So yeah, what a team, boys.
Harry Winks. This
fully
is brilliant.
expecting to win the first
Genuinely
game.
thought I was going to go then. Genuinely, I thought I was going to drop to the floor. Actual faintage.
Why? What a team!
Because I was laughing so hard.
How much is Harry Winks?
4.5 million. What a bargain.
Right, yeah.
So sorry, where's Harry Winks at Spurs?
He got 33 points last season.
Oh,
I mean, okay. I don't think he even gets in their squad, mate.
No, I don't think he does.
Just talking about your team just a bit. So you just having a quick chat about this some more.
Suddenly this is all your son's fault.
You've got Harry Winks. You've got Harry Maguire.
Yeah, we like Harry.
Bit of a Harry theme here.
He's got a guinea pig called Harry, so I'm guessing that's why he's gone for that route.
Right, but no Harry Kane.
No.
Of all the Harrys, you decided he wasn't for you.
Well, you couldn't have De Bruyne, Haaland, Cancelo. You know, it's too much money, isn't he? So we couldn't afford
all that money you've splashed out on Van Dijk and Maguire. Yeah,
exactly. And also, Kane doesn't score in August, so historically doesn't score in August.
Well, look, the proof will be in the pudding. But I'm glad that is officially locked in, that team now. So that's great.
I mean, you say locked in. I mean, it's fun. I mean, if I win game week 1, boys.
I mean, if you win game week 1, and I don't even want to think about what I'd do.
I'll give you the money myself.
You need to all give up. You two need to give up.
What's the prize for? I mean, we'll talk about the prize for our league in a moment, but the prize for winning the actual game.
What, the actual overall?
Yeah.
But I've never ventured that close to the sun, to be honest.
I think it's quite a substantial prize.
You win like a backpack with FPL printed on it.
No, you win every month. There's 2 tickets available for a Premier League game, and there's PlayStations and mobile phones. I'll give you all of those things if you win game week 1. And
deal.
You can have my phone and my PlayStation, and I'll take you to a Bournemouth game. Because that is, you've got to keep it locked in though. If you change it,
have some self-belief, mate. I mean, it's good.
That squad cost 100 million quid, boys.
I mean, that is unbelievable. Yeah. I was saying that things were going up. It cost us £82 to go to Pennywell Farm in Devon. So you're
laughing at me. Unbelievable.
It makes sense that those players might cost 100 million. It's good to have a bit of variation, isn't it, Ant?
I don't know. I mean,
I'm not convinced.
We've not even played the first game yet, boys.
Yeah.
Game. A ball's not been kicked.
Phil, when you add Ollie, Ant's son, to our WhatsApp group, could you just start it by giving the number 020 7650 3200? That is Childline. Okay. I don't know what's happened here, because
it's fine because even if we're close, boys, it's fine. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
You know what? I'm excited by that, and even if it's only 1 week in the whole season where Harry Winks appears, and maybe he'll run down the side of the pitch and wave to the crowd, or give a water bottle to one of the players actually playing. It'll be so exciting for you. So I hope it goes.
You've got more chance of Harry Hill or Harry Ramsden scoring than you have Harry Winks. I'll tell you that now.
Yeah, we really have. But it's fun, boys. We're just all gonna have fun with it, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Favorite all-time Harry?
Brennan.
He's a friend of ours. Okay, yeah.
Not
great for the listeners of Singapore, where we're number 1 in the sports podcast charts.
I mean, we maybe were when we released a podcast last.
I would go with Harry Hill.
Okay, I'm going to go with Harry Seacombe. May he rest in peace. Look him up, kids. V-dubs. Right, so
B-dubs is short for...
That's short for Volkswagen.
Well,
What's
I
this
knew
team?
that.
What's this team called?
D's nuts, Mike.
D's nuts.
Nuts. Yeah, D's
D's
nuts.
nuts.
Kids, if you're
FPL Harry, my favourite Harry. He knew that.
D's nuts. Harry Seacombe was very much the D's nuts of his time.
Okay, well, it's an education for everyone who was born after you. So, do you want to quickly run through the fixtures? Just remind people what the fixtures are.
Let's remind them what they are.
Just what they are. That's all, mate. You don't need to, be miserable. It's the first podcast of the season. You want people to see that we're enthusiastic, not.
By golly, we are. I'm so excited. I was quite interested to see how the first week would go. But having heard Ant's team now, I am absolutely pumped for the weekend. Absolutely pumped for it. I cannot wait. It's a shame. I'm working the game. Well, I'm not ashamed to be working the game. But I'm also one of our listeners. I'm DJing his wedding at the weekend. So little Alex party. So
you got a gig off the back of the podcast. Did you? Maybe we should be getting a cut for that.
Got a gig off just being a nice guy, really. Yeah.
I mean, not according to the FPL Twitter community.
Right. Crystal Palace are playing Arsenal on Friday night.
Yay. Season opener, Arsenal.
Lovely. That went well for them last year. Saturday, the 6th of August, we have lunchtime kickoff. Fulham at home to Liverpool. Fulham in a bad way. Old Marcus there, the manager.
Marco Silva, yeah. He was much like Scott Parker, lamenting the board. 16 fit players, he said.
Yeah, not happy. Bournemouth Villa nailed on 3 points for the Chazers and some serious points for Ant with Dom and Phil Bill.
Yeah.
Leeds at home to Wolves. Be interesting to see. One to watch there, Christensen, who signed for Leeds in the last couple of weeks. His stats elsewhere were phenomenal. 5-0 though, too early to go on him at this stage.
Scored in the friendly this week.
There you go.
Beautiful.
That's right, Patrick Bamford.
He did. And didn't he look happy with himself?
Oh, so happy for him. Just wanted to give him a hug.
Newcastle play Forest, a team who I'm tipping to do very well this season. I think they'll have a first season not dissimilar to Sheffield United and Leeds when they came up. Spurs Southampton, and then the tea time kickoff on Saturday is Everton hosting Chelsea.
Okay, Sunday
is 2 o'clock kickoffs. We've got a double header. We've got Leicester at home to Brentford, and we've got Manchester United, a hatful of goals for Harry Maguire from set pieces at home to Brighton. And the last kickoff, no Monday night football this week, is Sunday afternoon at 4:30. West Ham host Man City. Not the easiest of opening day fixtures for Man City.
It's not, but I think they will want to prove a point after the Charity Shield, Community Shield, as it is these days. These nuts. But yeah, the Community Shield.
Harry Seacombe.
Don't think that works as well. Okay. But thanks for trying. I think City could trounce West Ham. It'd be interesting to see how the new striker does at West Ham.
Yeah. Boys, I'm gonna have to go because it's been a hot day and my hanging cozying down before the night ends.
You're hanging what? You went quiet for me there.
Oh, my hanging baskets.
Oh, good, because I mean we literally cut out certainly from my side of the audio. All I heard was my hanging.
Oh no, that's not happening. No.
Okay, cool.
Just my hanging baskets, but equally as devastating if they go to pot. So I really have to get out there and give them a quick water.
Could have been saying the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Who knows what you could have been saying? Okay, well, gents, it's good to see you again. Don't forget, everyone, we will be back this week with a quick extra special telling you what's going to happen this weekend with our FPL Before It Happens bonus podcast. It's not for Patreons. We don't do Patreons because 3 people aren't going to make us millionaires. So it's just for everyone. Our bonus podcast and YouTube video. I hope you enjoy it, guys.
Hold up. We've got 2 things to very quickly do.
Forgot
New season, Same old issues, lads. We've got to let people know our punts. But before that,
The league
I'm
code
going to let
as
you know
well,
the
Michael.
league code. One lucky winner last year was sent not just one hot crisp, but two. A signed copy of Nigel Mansell's autobiography, not signed by Nigel, and an external hard drive, amongst a hamper of prizes. This year, it could be you. The code you need is PJ. Oh no, stop. PQJIK4. PQJIK4. I'll say it one more time. PQJIK4. Cannot wait to have you on board.
Okay. Right then.
Punts.
Well, I'll go straight away on this. I'm very excited to be able to have him in a punt category. We've just been bigging him up. All of us have just been bigging him up, really.
You're beautiful.
Patrick Bamford, 1.1% ownership. Who would have thought? So he is.
Who do you need to play this weekend, mate? We've just done that, but
he's Wolves at home. Wolves at home.
okay.
Wolves. I think both teams could struggle this season. But he's 7.5 million, which seems a bit harsh considering last season I think he was 7.5 million and only played a handful of games. But it's great to be able to have him as my punt.
And
Anthony.
Christopher Wood, 1.7% ownership. Newcastle at home to Nottingham Forest. What's funny about that?
he's not going to play, Ant.
Why not?
He wasn't getting game time for them at the end of last season. He was coming off the bench.
Oh well, he might come off the bench and score from a corner.
He might do.
God, you need to know this now, boys. I'm sticking with it.
It's like having someone's nan on the podcast who's just done autocomplete. It's amazing.
Somebody's nan would know more than I would, to be fair.
I'm going to gamble on my prediction that Perisic won't start this first game week, and I'm going to go with Sessegnon at home to Southampton.
I mean, after just slamming Ant, Sessegnon he might not play either.
I'm pretty confident he will, given that Perisic has not played many minutes pre-season and is coming back from an injury. Like I said earlier, Sessegnon played the majority of the last run of games for Spurs last season. So I fancy him to keep a clean sheet at home to Southampton, one of the most shot-shy teams in the league, and he might just weigh in with an assist as well.
Careful how you say that, because you might say what you really think.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Well, as I was saying, thank you very much for listening. Enjoy the bonus pod if you do. And yeah, have a great first week back in fantasy football. And remember, it's just a bit of fun. Enjoy yourselves. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye now.